Wrestling today might be shiny, scripted, and wrapped in corporate polish, but the business was built on the backs of the old-timers. Men who didn't wrestle for brand deals or action figures, they wrestled because they had nothing else. And believe me, when you've got a busted-down car, a bar tab you'll never pay off, and a promoter who stiffs you on payday, you learn how to fight. These old pros weren't working matches to entertain children. They were fighting for respect, for money, and in some cases, just for the joy of seeing someone else bleed. Locker rooms were full of grudges, stiff shots, and vendettas that lasted decades. They didn't bury the hatchet, they sharpened it and swung it harder the next time. So today, we're remembering some of those names the way they should be remembered. No sugarcoating, no nostalgia goggles, just the truth, the grudges, and the scars they left behind. Because the old-timers didn't just wrestle matches, they wrestled life itself, and life usually left the ring on a stretcher, while they kept on swinging, bloody, bitter, and still unbroken. So let's get right into it. Angelo Mosca didn't wander into wrestling, he barged in swinging. Born in 1937 in the Bronx, Mosca cut his teeth on football, hitting harder than a freight train on a bad day. That aggression didn't disappear when he switched to wrestling, it became his calling card. Opponents quickly learned Mosca didn't just fight, he hated. In the ring, Mosca was a force of nature. Known as King Kong, he carried grudges like weapons. Every match was a gauntlet. He stiffed guys to make a point, made enemies out of allies, and never hid the contempt he felt for anyone who got in his way. Rivalries with the likes of Gene Kiniski weren't scripted. They were fueled by real disdain. Mosca didn't just want to win, he wanted you to know he hated you while doing it. Off camera, Mosca's hate didn't cool. Loud, brash, and confrontational, he didn't suffer fools or fakers. Interviews, anecdotes, and locker room stories all paint the same picture. A man who loved wrestling but hated anyone pretending toughness. Fear followed him, and so did respect, sometimes grudging, sometimes terrified. Mosca and Gene Kiniski didn't just feud on paper, the hate was real. Kiniski was arrogant, and Mosca despised anyone who acted like the ring owed them respect. Their matches were stiff, tense affairs. Mosca delivered punishment in a way that left no doubt about his contempt. Backstage, stories say the locker room bristled whenever these two shared space. Mosca wasn't just wrestling Kiniski's moves, he was wrestling Kiniski himself, making every hold, slam, and chop a statement. Mosca hated the man, and he wanted everyone to feel it. He eventually retired, but Mosca didn't fade quietly. He stayed in the public eye in Canada, appearing on TV, at conventions, and in wrestling circles that still whispered his name with a mix of awe and dread. One of the most infamous moments came decades later, a 2011 CFL alumni luncheon in Vancouver. Tensions with Joe Cap boiled over when Mosca rejected a peace gesture and swung his cane right across Joe Cap's face. Cap responded with a pair of punches and a kick, sending Mosca to the floor. A real fistfight, not staged. The media captured it all, and Mosca later auctioned the cane for $7,700 to benefit struggling CFL alumni, turning a punch-up into charity. Angelo Mosca passed in 2021, leaving a legacy of fear, fight, and unapologetic toughness. A man who wrestled life as hard as he wrestled anyone foolish enough to step in the ring with him. Heigo Hamaguchi, better known as Animal Hamaguchi, was born on August 31st, 1947 in Hamada, Shimane, Japan. Trained under the legendary Karl Gotch and Rusher Kimura, Hamaguchi debuted on September 20, 1969, launching a career that would leave a lasting mark on Japanese pro wrestling. Despite being relatively small for a heavyweight at 5 foot 10 inches and 227 pounds, his intensity, toughness, and technical skill earned him respect in the locker room and the ring alike. Hamaguchi carved a niche as both a singles competitor and tag team specialist. He worked across top Japanese promotions like New Japan Pro Wrestling and All Japan Pro Wrestling, and he even made appearances internationally. His in-ring style was hard-hitting and disciplined, reflecting his Gotch-inspired training, earning admiration and sometimes fear from peers. While Hamaguchi's career wasn't marked by personal grudges or heated backstage feuds, his presence demanded respect, and he reportedly held little patience for unprofessional behavior from younger wrestlers. Beyond competing, Hamaguchi became a revered trainer and mentor. He dedicated himself to shaping the next generation of Japanese talent, influencing wrestlers with his emphasis on conditioning, fundamentals, and in-ring psychology. His teaching legacy is arguably as impactful as his in-ring career. Animal Hamaguchi is also known for his family ties to wrestling. He is the father of Kyoko Hamaguchi, a celebrated freestyle wrestler who represented Japan internationally. His support and visible pride in her career show a different, more personal side of the animal, proving that his intensity extended beyond the ring. Now, in his late 70s, Hamaguchi remains a respected figure in Japanese wrestling, remembered as a tough, technically gifted performer and a committed mentor whose influence continues to shape the sport. Born on July 29, 1929 in Balzan, Malta, Michele Scicluna began his wrestling career in the late 1950s under the ring name Mike Valentino. He initially worked in Canadian promotions, including Toronto and Stampede Wrestling, before moving to the NWA San Francisco territory, where he won the NWA World Tag Team Championship with Gene Dubuque on August 23, 1958. In 1965, Scicluna debuted in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, adopting the persona of Baron Michel Scicluna, a character claiming royal descent from the Isle of Malta. Scicluna became notorious for his use of foreign objects, particularly a roll of coins, which he would secretly use to attack opponents when the referee's back was turned. This tactic made him one of the most despised heels of his era. Throughout his career, Scicluna achieved notable success in tag team competition. He won the WWF United States Tag Team Championship with Smasher Sloan on September 1966, and the World Tag Team Championship with King Curtis Yaukea in 1972. Scicluna also had a brief but memorable singles career, including a victory over Waldo von Erich at Madison Square Garden, and a series of matches against the WWF champion Bruno Sammartino. In June 1976, Scicluna was involved in a historic moment when he faced Gorilla Monsoon on the same night that Monsoon had a confrontation with boxing legend Muhammad Ali. This event was part of the build-up to Ali's famous match against Antonio Inoki later that month. After retiring from active competition in 1983, Scicluna made a brief return in 1987 for Legends Battle Royal at a WWF house show. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 1996. Scicluna passed away on March 20, 2010, at the age of 80, after a long battle with pancreatic cancer. Despite his villainous persona in the ring, he was known to be a quiet and reserved man in real life. He is remembered as one of the most effective heels in wrestling history, using his cunning and resourcefulness to become a fan-favorite antagonist. Bill Irwin, better known to wrestling fans as Wild. Bill Irwin, or the Goon, carved out a career in the ring defined as much by his in-ring ability as his unpredictable personality. Known for his intense energy and occasional volatility, Irwin was never exactly the locker room favorite. While no concrete, documented grudges exist, his behavior suggested he wasn't the easiest person to work with. His intensity sometimes bled into erratic actions that peers found challenging, marking him as a wild card wherever he went. Irwin's career included stints in the WWF as the Goon, a gimmick inspired by hockey culture, complete with helmet and hockey stick. While the character gave him visibility, it was far from a creative match for his style. Irwin reportedly never took the gimmick seriously, which created friction with promoters who wanted him to fully embrace the role. This lack of enthusiasm, combined with his larger-than-life attitude, fueled rumors of behind-the-scenes tension, even if no specific personal beefs were ever recorded. Outside the ring, Irwin's unpredictability made waves among fans and commentators. A 2021 interview with Hannibal, for instance, saw Irwin intoxicated and displaying erratic behavior, reinforcing his reputation as someone who could be challenging to predict. While this incident wasn't tied to any wrestling feud directly, it underscored the type of volatile energy he brought to both his public appearances and professional environment. His peers recognized him as a talented but mercurial figure, someone who could light up the ring but also the locker room in ways promoters had to manage carefully. Despite the lack of confirmed personal grudges, Irwin's career reflects the subtle tension that often comes from a wrestler unwilling to fit neatly into creative molds. Promoters needed compliance, and Irwin's independent streak sometimes clashed with expectations. He wasn't malicious, he was simply a performer who didn't always play by the rules the business tried to impose. Irwin's legacy, then, is a combination of in-ring skill, memorable but ill-fitting gimmicks, and a reputation for unpredictability. Wrestlers and promoters learned quickly that booking the Goon meant more than just plotting a match. It meant managing a personality that was as volatile as it was talented. While he may not have had documented feuds with colleagues, his intensity and approach to the business left a mark on everyone who shared a locker room with him. Bill Irwin remains a reminder that sometimes the most compelling figures in wrestling are the ones who keep everyone just a little on edge. And that's the truth about these old school legends. No sugarcoating, no nostalgia glasses, just the fights, the grudges, and the chaos they left behind. From Mosca's ruthless hits to Hamaguchi's disciplined fury, Cicluna's wild unpredictability, and Irwin's backstage sparks, these men defined an era where respect was earned with sweat, bruises, and real pain. They didn't just wrestle in the ring, they wrestled life itself, and the ring often got the worst of it. If you love the raw, untamed history of wrestling, hit that like button and slam that subscribe, and stay tuned. More legends, more chaos, and more real heat coming your way. Thanks for watching.